Hey, thanks for listening. I'm David Yakir, and you're listening to Yak About Today. So I've been thinking about a saying that I grew up with. It was mind over matter. I never was sure what it meant, so today we have that force of nature, Dr. Sean Pastuch, the owner and founder of Active Life, here to tell us the role that the mind plays in our health. So that's what we'll yak about today. What's up, everybody? David Yakir here for Yak About Today, hoping you are better, healthier, and more informed than any generation that came before. So if the years 46 to 64 means something to you, then this is the place you want to be. Now put your headphones on, go for a run, and listen to what we yak about today. All right, we're back now, and as promised, I've got Dr. Sean Pastuch here with me. He's the owner and founder of Active Life, and I'm really excited to talk to you, Sean. Welcome.
Thank you, David. I'm excited to be on the show with you.
Okay, so this is a really important subject, especially to our listeners, because I find that as the generation has aged, and we don't use the word senior, we always say wiser and more mature, they have the time, the space to really learn how to be more active, to be healthier, to eat healthy, that type of thing. And you've been coaching people for a long time. So why don't we start this way? Why don't we start with, how does somebody like you get into this field? Or what drove you? Was there something when you were young, you were not healthy and active, and all of a sudden you changed your ways? So give us a little background on you, so it'll give people an idea of how you came into this field.
Yeah, so I like to talk about the idea of age. I say people are more experienced when they're 55 plus. Well, once you hit the 55 mark, you're in what we call the experienced category, which is
like that also.
Yeah. I got into this field as an infant. I was born into the family where my father was a chiropractor. My uncle ended up being a chiropractor. So my father had spent 30 years in the profession before he retired. My uncle he's in his 25th or 26th year now. I went and got my license as a chiropractor to follow in their footsteps, because growing up, I really didn't want for much. I had a great childhood. My father coached my little league teams. He was around for everything. My first and most valuable mentor, both in life and in business. And I wanted to emulate what he was able to do for me, for my future generations, for my kids. And I liked the kind of life he was able to live. So I set off on that path, and I got caught up in the fitness craze along the way, and decided that it might be better for me to carve my own path, blending those two fields together.
So what is your specialty?
So I own a company now that we like to say we get people out of pain without going to the doctor or missing the gym. And it doesn't have to be the gym. It could be without missing your activity. Too often people are told you can't play tennis anymore because it hurts your elbow, or you have to stop going for runs because you have a bad knee. My specialty, my company's specialty, is changing the narrative for those people so that they understand they can continue to do those things. They just have to earn the right.
So is there a chiropractic element to this, a physical therapy element to this, a nutritional element? So if I have a bad knee, and I think one of my knees has a potential in a couple of months to be that way, I want to continue running, right? And the knee is whatever's going on. It's a mechanical thing. It may have to be fixed. So are you saying that there are other ways to approach this so you don't need to fix your knee or get a knee replacement?
Without a doubt. And the most important thing to do, David, believe it or not, is change the way you talk about it. And we hear people all the time, I have a bad knee, I have a bad back, I have a bad elbow, bad shoulder. And if you tell yourself that enough times, you will start to believe it. So we have people change the narrative by, instead of saying that, saying things like, I haven't figured out how to solve my knee problem yet.
And to answer that, how would they get an answer to that?
As to how they can actually solve their knee problem?
That's right.
So, I mean, if they were a client of mine, we start with figuring out why their knee hurts in the first place. Do they have the flexibility that they need in their ankles, in their knees, in their hips to do the things that they're doing? Are they doing the things that they're doing too aggressively for the capacity that they have? Are they physically overdoing it? And can we measure that? Are they not taking the appropriate recovery strategies after they use the knee? There's a multitude of things that we want to find out about. And the answer is we take a maze to the finish line for each person differently.
So do you do that in conjunction with the medical side of things? Like, would you, if you were coaching somebody and they said, okay, let's you continue to use the knee. So they're saying, my knee's just out. I can't continue to run. And you would sit down and say, look, this is the way we have to look at it. But is there a connection to the medical side where you would say to them, look, let's see medically what's going on with the knee, and then I could partner with them or help you knowing what the medical situation is? Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah. And sometimes the answer to that question is yes. I think we might best explain this if I tell you a story. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I love stories.
So my mom is about to be 60 years old, or I should say she just turned 60 years old. And she lives down in Palm Beach, Florida for the winters. And she's had aggressive Achilles pain for years, talking years, over a decade. And it just became, this is what I have to deal with. And I would tell her all the time, I think that we can actually solve for this if we would approach it the proper way. But I'm her son. And you can't be an expert unless if you live 50 miles away from somebody else. And it took her getting to the place where she could no longer use her potter's wheel to finally say, you know what, I'm ready to do whatever you think I need to do because nothing is working and I really want to be able to use the potter's wheel. So the funny thing is it's not the pain, it's the loss. It's what did you lose? And for her, it was using the potter's wheel, that enjoyment. Okay, Mom. Right now, my mom is very good at this time at bending over and picking things up off the floor. No problem with that. Didn't hurt her Achilles to bend down and pick things up. Never hurt her back to bend down and pick things up. But if I asked my mom to squat all the way down to the bottom of a deep squat and then stand up, it was virtually impossible for her. Both getting down to the bottom and changing directions out of the bottom were increasingly difficult for her to achieve. What happens when you can't do that is that your body is going to start to use the muscles responsible for the activities that you're already good at to do things that they're not supposed to do. You develop compensations that are disadvantageous for your body long term, but are advantageous to complete the act. So for my mom, it was as simple as adding 3 things to her daily routine. Squatting, where she would hold on to something to allow her to go all the way down and come back up, to develop the strength in her quads and in her glutes that she was lacking, so she didn't have to use the back of her leg quite as much, which took a lot of strain off the Achilles. Walking on a 2x4 for 10 minutes a day, forward and backward, just like a balance beam on the floor, to build proprioception, balance, and control in her feet and hips. And single leg work, stepping up and down off of a box. We added that 3 days a week to her routine, and within about a month and a half, her Achilles pain was cut down by about 80%. Now the 20% stuck around, and it was really hard to get rid of that until she went to a functional medicine doctor and they took sugar out of her diet. After they took sugar out of her diet, there was no Achilles pain. So those exercises plus an improved diet and the mindset that she could got rid of the problem.
So it is a combination of the mind, medical, the right way of thinking. That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. I have another question. So give me your opinion on the physical therapy and the chiropractic world. You seem to have, some thoughts on them and the role they play for people. So maybe you can sort of enlighten the audience about that.
Sure, I would love to. As somebody who practiced as a chiropractor for almost a decade, who's been to physical therapists, worked as a personal trainer and a strength coach, I've owned a CrossFit gym for 7 years. The problem that I find in those fields is twofold. It's on the doctor side. Too often they have a peg of a certain shape that they try to jam into holes of all different shapes. So the chiropractor adjusts. Huge benefit to getting adjusted if you need to get adjusted. Just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for all people who walk into your office. And I believe it's the chiropractor's responsibility to determine which of those people are right for them and which of those people are not. The physical therapist is the same thing on the other side of the scope. They're doing stretching and exercise correction, where not necessarily everybody needs stretching and exercise correction. So it's making sure that what you're doing is meant to solve the person's problem they have specifically. The other thing about that is it's the patient's responsibility to well describe the problem that they're having. If we take my mom, for example, who we just described, the problem that she was having if she walked into the physical therapy or chiropractic office would be, I have Achilles pain when I use a potter's wheel. Okay, and I have Achilles pain all the time. Okay, so the easy solution for the physical therapist or the chiropractor is don't use the potter's wheel, walk less, get a heel lift, all these different things that take strain off of the Achilles to give her less pain. The problem is, like we said earlier, the pain was never the problem. The problem was the pain was now too invasive to her lifestyle to continue doing the things that she loves to do. So the patient needs to walk into the office and say, I have Achilles pain and I've had it for a long time. The reason I'm here now is because I can no longer use my potter's wheel due to the pain. Can you get me to a place where I can use my wheel with the pain?
Hey, Dr. Sean, just hold that thought for a second. We have to do a break now for our sponsor and our advertisers. But when we come back, I'm really interested in the concept of self-talk, how we talk to ourselves and what the process is. So when we get back, if you can sort of hit it there, that would be great.
My pleasure.
All right. This is David Yeck here. I'm here with Dr. Sean Pastuch, and we are talking about an active and healthy lifestyle. This is Yak About Today. I want to take a moment to talk to you about New Vision Eye Center. For the last couple of years, they've been a sponsor of this show, and I couldn't be prouder. I've met so many people that have walked up to me and thanked me for recommending them. I hear all sorts of stories about how they've worked miracles. And as you know, I've been a patient of New Vision Eye Center for years. So when I say go see Dr. Minotti, Reinauer, Tate, and O'Brien, it's because I wouldn't trust my eyes to anyone else. And we are back. I'm David Yeck here. You're listening to Yak About Today, and this is Dr. Sean Pastuch, who's here with me. He's the owner and founder of Active Life, and we've been talking about the role self-talk plays in an active life. And if Sean, if you could take us there, because I think most people understand that, and we used to use the term that a lot of the way we live is mental. Our ups, our downs are based on perspective and that type of thing. But I'm not sure anybody's been advised on how to really talk to themselves, when they're in difficult physical situations or in generally improving their health, and especially when they want to act, when they want to be more active, which keeps them younger and, that type of thing. So maybe you can give us a little hint on how we do talk to ourselves.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. I think it's a huge deal. And I think that the reason why people look at self-talk as something that's less important to think about is because it seems foofy. It seems like kind of the hippy dippy, I'm just going to love myself till my problems are gone. And that's not what it is. And it is profoundly important. So I'll make an example. Because when we talk about things like I have a bad knee, everyone accepts that. yeah, David, your knee's been bothering you for a long time, so you have a bad knee. Me too, I have a bad shoulder. Everyone has their bad thing. That's societally acceptable. But what if every time that you went to a restaurant, you had trouble reading the menu and you said, darn it, David, you're so stupid. You still can't read. David, you're so stupid. When you would go to somewhere to read a magazine, you're sitting on an airplane next to your friend. You're so stupid. You can't figure out what you want to watch because you can't read what's on. Eventually, your friends would start saying, David, you can't keep talking about yourself like that. You have to get that problem solved. You have to figure out how to read. And you would be forced by society to learn how to read or to be an outcast. The same should be true when we talk about our bodies, because that would drive people to actually solving their problem. I like to tell people, if you're still in pain, if the word still is in there, meaning it didn't just happen, then it's because you decided to be. You haven't figured out what you need to do to get out of it because it hasn't been a high enough priority for you to figure it out.
So what is, actually I was going to get into that, and I'm glad you hit that, because I think the idea that when we tell ourselves something is happening, it's because I do believe that, and I believe it beyond physical pain. I believe it in life. We sort of tell us that we are failing, and therefore we are failing, So it makes sense to me that when the body does it, when the body's in pain, there's a big part of it that comes out of your mind. You decide to be in pain. Or if you are in pain because there is a reality there is something physically wrong, you need to understand that and then move on with the proper coaching, to get you where you want to be. Maybe I'm convoluted there. I'm trying to...
No, I understand what you're saying. And part of that is you have to also be able to place that pain in the right spot. And what I mean by that is when you're 20 and you twist your ankle, it's not that big of a deal. You've twisted your ankle before and you feel it and you're like, yeah, whatever, I'll move on. When you're 60 and you twist your ankle, it can become a real big problem because recovering from it takes longer and all that kind of stuff that goes with the age. And people will fall into a panic because they haven't rolled their ankle in 40 years. They're 60. They don't know what the outcome is going to be of the situation. So they have an emotional response. And that emotional response is panic, which drives the pain meter up, 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 up.
Got it. Hey, Sean, do me a favor, because we often run out of time and I don't get to it. Tell people how they can get in touch with you, people who may need coaching or, who would need your services. Tell everybody, give them the information.
So we're on Instagram at Active Life RX. You can find me on Instagram at Sean Pastuch. And if you're looking to go to directly to email, I'm happy to take any and all emails. Dr. Sean at ActiveLifeRx.com.
That's great.
And if you Google Active Life RX, you're going to find us.
That's great. So I recommend everybody, especially all the people that live around me right now, get in contact with Dr. Sean. So I have a question. The process that you go through, somebody comes to you, so let's sort of tell them what to expect if they talk to you or if they're in your area and they want to come to you, right? So they would walk in and... Go ahead.
Nobody walks in.
Okay.
All of our services are remote. So everything that we do is digital. That means that we're your coach from anywhere in the world. We have clients right now on 6 of 7 continents. We haven't cracked Antarctica yet. And, from 65 years old down to 25 years old, with the majority of them between 35 and 55. And as long as you're comfortable exercising, meaning you're willing to exercise, we can help you. And we do it from a distance.
And so so people would have to understand what difficulties they have. Because it's remote, if I came to you and we were talking, let's say on Skype, and we were having a conversation, you were asking certain questions, and I was telling you, I have a constant lower bad back problem. Because you're not here, you would I'm assuming you would ask several questions, and based on the answers to those questions, you either feel that you could help people through talk, through coaching, through explaining different exercises, and at the same time, if you thought they should be looked at by a doctor or something like that, that would be the part of the process in talking to people.
That's exactly right. We actually turn away 35% of people who come to us for help because we believe that they need to be in a doctor's office locally. What we do in that case is we don't just abandon them. We hop on the computer and help them find a doctor local to them who we think can help. So there's a call in the beginning where we talk about what's going on and why that's important to you. Then we figure out if we believe we can be effective at solving your problem. If you fall into the 65% of people who we believe we can help, what we do is we assign you to one of our coaches. All of our coaches are chiropractors or physical therapists with extensive experience in exercise. That person then gets on the phone with you again to go deeper into what's going on. And it can be a video call too, to get deeper into what's going on. And then they start to design an interactive exercise program for you that you're able to communicate with them on every single day.
All right, Sean, let me stop you there. This is for the broadcast audience. We have to go now. This is David Yak here. I'm here with Dr. Sean Pastuch, and you're listening to Yak About Today. And we are back. I'm hoping the broadcast audience came with us. And for all of you out there on the podcast audience, this is David Yak here once again, and you're listening to Yak About Today. And I've got Dr. Sean Pastuch here. He's the owner, founder, and active life person who's going to improve my life. I know that for a fact. Anyway, I just wanted to get in the last question that we couldn't fit in the radio broadcast, and that is, what does a program look like when you develop a program? How do you interact with your clients or the people you're coaching? Is there a live sort of video where you watch them exercise and you talk them through it and that type of thing, or do you do meditations with them? Tell me about the program and how it would play out.
So the program is much more practical than I think watching somebody do all of their exercise would be. It's simply video demonstrations of everything that we would want you to do. So David, let's pretend that you were a new client and we were trying to help your knee, and I thought that you needed to squat and you needed to walk and you needed to climb stairs and you needed to do push-ups, for example. I'm not saying we would ever have you do push-ups for a knee problem.
By the way, I do need all of those things. So
most of us do. So what we would do is communicate that with you first via the phone. Let you know this is what our plan is for you. Then we share a platform with you that you can access every single day on your cell phone, on your smartphone, or on your computer. And in there, we upload exactly what we want you to do every day based on how much time and access to equipment you've told us you have. So maybe your program would be Monday. David, we want you to do 3 sets of 10 squats, holding on to the edge of the couch so that you can stay nice and tall without having to worry about falling over, in your bare feet with 90 seconds between sets. And we want you to walk up and down the hallway for the duration of that 90 seconds. Maybe that walking is done on a 2x4, backward and forward for balance, like it was for my mom. Mm-hmm. We write that down for you. That's your Monday. Maybe it only takes 10 minutes. That's your Monday. You go in and you click that you completed that workout and you tell us how it went. There are videos of everything we ask you to do describing how to do it. So you never have to worry that you're doing something wrong. You have the ability to upload a video of yourself doing it to make sure that your coach can see it and give you any corrections necessary for next time. We do that for 1 full week. We design workouts for all 3 days. So maybe Wednesday is going to be your push-up day. We're going to teach you how to do push-ups in a way that you're able to complete the number of reps we want you to do. And then we're going to follow that up with climbing the stairs. And on Friday, we're going to choose the 2 highest priority exercises, and we're going to do them both again. So maybe push-ups and squats will be on Friday. That's your week. You spend 30 minutes total, and in 6 to 8, your pain and your problems start to go away.
So I think the next question I would ask is, how do you evaluate the success that the client is having? So you're laying out these programs, and here's a week program based on the evaluation you did of the client, of course. So the client goes through the process, the exercises, the routines, and at the end of a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, is there an interaction with the coaches on a regular basis? Is the evaluation of success based on a set of questions that you ask the client?
Great question. So you have access to your coach at all times. You can always email your coach. You can text your coach. You can get on a video call with your coach anytime you need to. Typically, people don't need to that often. The reason why people end up signing up with us is because they're looking for the convenience of what we do rather than having to go talk to somebody in person all the time. So it self-selects people who are not looking to be on the phone or on the video call all the time with their clients. So we don't find that to be a very common thing, is people interacting, what I would call real time very often. It's more you leave your breadcrumbs and we follow your trail. And when we get to the end, our coaches can design the next week for you based on how you perform. So you might write, for example, wow, those 10 squats were easy when I did them, but on Tuesday, my quads were so sore that going down the stairs was difficult. Okay, we need to pivot and change the way that we're writing that program for you so you don't have that experience again next time.
Got it. So I have a question. I think there's 2 questions in here. So they have a coach. And so one thing you write is you ask a question, how should a coach earn a raise? And that actually would be part 2 of the first part of a question I was curious about. What is the cost model here? You don't have to give, obviously, exact costs. You do that with your client. It's how does it work? Is it like a trainer where you hire a trainer 3 times a week and it costs, a certain amount a week or a certain amount a month, or?
No. So the problem with that model from a business perspective is that then people are selling their time, and you can never charge enough for your time. You run out of it and you can't get it back. So we sell solutions. We don't sell time. And what I mean by that is people sign up for us on a monthly basis, 6 months upfront or annually. Monthly is $279 per month. 6 months is $1,395, and the year is $2,511. And you get exactly what you need, nothing more and nothing less. That's the idea.
Got it. Where did you get the extra $11 from?
It was just a percentage that we took off of what it would be worth. So essentially, it's when you buy 1 month, you get 1 month price. When you buy 6 months, you pay for 5, you get the 6 for free. And when you buy the year, you pay for 9 and you get 3 for free.
Got it. No, I think that's really important. And the assets that you give to people, are programs that they can use over and over again. So as they move forward, I'm imagining that people who sign up for a month, actually, I'm not sure how to ask this question. So sort of, give me a little space here. If you evaluate a person, do you tell them, like, and I don't mean selling, like you're a salesman, but do you tell them, look, we recommend a 1 month, a 6 month, or a 1 year program? Or do you leave it to them based on how successful like a month is, if they want to move on? We never recommend 1 month. The monthly program is there so that people who have a hard time affording the $1,395 or the $2,511 are able to access us on a monthly basis. We do recommend, hey, you're a 6 month client to get rid of this problem. You're an annual client to get rid of this problem. That being said, we have clients who, once they're out of pain,
continue to retain our services for years because of how good they feel. And the value that they get, believe it or not, is way more between the ears than it is below the neck.
All right, that makes total sense. And you have a staff of trained professional coaches.
Yes.
Is that it? And that's great. I imagine since you operate online, which was always my field in my younger life, you can get the best coaches all around the world if you wanted to, right?
Without a doubt. Our staff, when you break it down, because we pay them, like I said, the same way that you pay our staff, we pay our staff for solutions, not for time. So if it takes you an hour to solve the problem, you get paid for the one problem. If you can solve 3 in an hour, you get paid for 3. And the average staff member who works for us is making over $150 per hour from wherever they want in the world, doing it at whatever time of day they want to do it, and they're helping people. Well, how can you beat that?
All right, I'm going to submit an application. All right. Doc, I really appreciate this time. I've really learned a lot. I think you were great for our audience. And once again, hit it, how they can get in touch with you.
Active Life RX, anywhere. Google Active Life RX. You're going to end up on our website, on our Instagram, in my email, drshawn@activeliferx.com. Everybody's welcome. I want to talk to you.
All right. Again, thanks, Dr. Sean. And this is David Yak here. I'm here with Dr. Sean Pastuch, and you're listening to Yak About Today. I'll see you guys next week. Love you. Peace.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak. Don't talk back. Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak. Don't talk back.